Right, let's dive into this epic tale. A knight, a wolf, and a maiden. A winter's tale. It's going to be a wild ride, so buckle up and enjoy the story. The Wolf and the Maiden. The wind howled like a wounded beast, whipping snow against the weathered timbers of the old keep. Inside, Anya huddled by the hearth, her fingers numb with cold. The castle was a lonely place, especially with her father away, warring for the king. Anya was no damsel in distress, though. She could wield a sword as well as any man, and her spirit was as sharp as the winter's bite. Yet tonight, a strange unease crept into her heart. A tale her nursemaid had told her as a child echoed in her mind, of a monstrous wolf that roamed the nearby woods, its eyes burning with an unnatural light. As the night deepened, a scratching sound came from the tower window. Anya's heart pounded. A shadow moved against the frosted glass. With a deep breath, she grabbed her father's sword and crept towards the window. The shadow was larger than a man. Fear gnawed at her, but determination held her steady. Then the window shattered, and a creature filled the opening. But it was not a wolf. It was a man, cloaked in snow, his face etched with frost. His eyes, however, held no malice, only weariness. "Do not fear," he said, his voice rough with cold. "I mean you no harm." Anya lowered her sword, confusion battling fear. The man stepped inside, shaking the snow from his cloak. He was tall and lean, with a face that bore the marks of hardship. "I am Kale," he introduced himself, a wanderer lost in the storm. Anya hesitated. Trust was a scarce commodity in these perilous times, but there was something in Kale's eyes that compelled her. Reluctantly, she offered him the hearth's warmth. As he warmed himself, she learned that he was a knight, exiled from his kingdom for reasons he would not reveal. As the night wore on, they shared stories and bread, the bond between them growing stronger with each passing hour. When dawn broke, casting its pale light on the snow-covered landscape, Kale thanked Anya for her kindness and continued his journey. As he disappeared into the wide expanse, Anya felt a strange sense of loss. She had found companionship in the most unexpected of places, and with it, a courage she didn't know she possessed. Days turned into weeks. Anya found herself longing for the stranger's return. The castle, once filled with the comforting rhythm of her father's absence, now echoed with an unsettling silence. Her dreams were haunted by the memory of Kale's weary eyes and the warmth of his presence. Then one bitter evening, as the wind howled its mournful song, a knock sounded at the castle gate. Her heart leaped. Could it be? She raced to the door, her hopes kindled by a flicker of anticipation. Beyond the gate stood a figure cloaked in snow. Her breath caught in her throat. It was Kale, but this time he was not alone. At his side was a small, shivering creature, a wolf cub. "I brought you a friend," Kale said, his voice as deep and comforting as she remembered. The wolf cub whimpered, its eyes wide with fear. Anya's heart softened. She reached out a tentative hand, and the cub nuzzled her palm. With Kale's return, a new warmth filled the castle. He spoke of distant lands, of battles fought and victories won. Anya listened, captivated by his tales, her world expanding beyond the castle walls. The wolf cub, now named Frost, became a loyal companion, bringing joy and laughter into their lives. Yet beneath the surface of their newfound happiness, a shadow lingered. Kale's exile, the reason for his solitary journey, was a constant presence between them. Anya knew he carried a heavy burden, a secret that weighed upon his heart. One stormy night, as they huddled by the hearth, the conversation turned to the past. With a hesitant voice, Kale began to speak of his exile. He told her of a treacherous plot, of a false accusation that had stripped him of his honor and his home. His voice trembled as he revealed the depth of his despair. Anya listened with growing compassion. In the flickering firelight, she saw a man broken yet unbroken, a spirit forged in the crucible of adversity. As he finished his story, she took his hand, her touch conveying a silent promise of support. In that moment, a bond was forged, deeper than friendship, stronger than love. It was a bond forged in shared adversity, in the understanding of another's pain. And as the storm raged outside, they found solace in each other's company, their hearts entwined like the branches of two trees, weathering the tempest together. As winter waned and spring began to paint the land in hues of green, the bond between Anya and Kale deepened. Their days were filled with shared laughter, quiet companionship, and the unspoken understanding that had blossomed between them. Frost, the wolf cub, had grown into a loyal and protective companion, his playful spirit mirroring the joy that had returned to the castle. Yet the specter of Kale's past continued to cast a long shadow. Despite his resilience, the weight of his exile was evident in the occasional melancholy that clouded his eyes. Anya ached to lift this burden from him, to restore the man she loved to his rightful place. One crisp spring morning, as they walked through the castle gardens, Kale paused, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Anya," he began, his voice filled with a quiet determination, "I must return." A chill ran down Anya's spine. She had known this day would come, but hearing the words spoken aloud was like a physical blow. "I understand," she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "But you will return, won't you?" Kale turned to her, his eyes filled with a love that was both tender and profound. "I promise," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "With your strength and Frost's loyalty by my side, I will reclaim what is rightfully mine." As the day of departure drew near, a sense of bittersweet anticipation filled the castle. Anya, with a heavy heart, prepared for Kale's journey. She knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but she also knew that he was a warrior, a man born for battle. On the morning of his departure, they stood at the castle gate, the wind carrying the promise of a new beginning. Kale took Anya in his arms, their kiss a silent vow of love and loyalty. As he turned to mount his horse, he looked back at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. "I will return," he promised once more, his voice carried by the wind. Anya watched as he rode away, the figure of the exiled knight growing smaller with each passing moment. As she turned to re-enter the castle, she felt a strange sense of purpose. She was no longer just a maiden sheltered within castle walls. She was Anya, the woman who stood by the man she loved, a woman who would wait, and a woman who would fight if needed. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was ready, for in her heart she carried the flame of hope, kindled by Kale's love and the promise of a future together. The long road home. The days without Kale stretched into weeks, then months. The castle, once filled with the warmth of his presence and the playful antics of Frost, now echoed with an eerie silence. Anya found herself immersed in a routine of training, tending to the keep, and endless waiting. Yet her heart was never truly absent from the winding paths Kale had taken. News from the kingdom was scarce, filtered through rumors and unreliable messengers. The war raged on, a relentless beast consuming lives and hope. Anya clung to the belief that Kale was safe, his skill and courage guiding him through the tempest. Frost, sensing her mistress's melancholy, became increasingly protective. The once playful cub had matured into a formidable guardian, his eyes watchful, his loyalty unwavering. He would often curl up at the foot of Anya's bed, his warm body offering a comforting presence in the quiet nights. One evening, as the first stars began to appear, a raven landed on the parapet. It was an unusual sight, and Anya's heart pounded with anticipation. The bird hopped closer, its beady eyes fixed on her. A small, leather-bound scroll fell from its beak. With trembling hands, Anya unrolled the parchment. It was a letter from Kale. The ink smudged and faded from the journey. His words were brief, but filled with a love that warmed her heart. He spoke of victories and losses, of the growing strength of the rebellion against the tyrannical king. He assured her of his unwavering love and promised to return as soon as the kingdom was free. A spark of hope ignited within Anya. With renewed determination, she threw herself into preparations for Kale's return. She oversaw the strengthening of the castle defenses, trained the remaining guards with relentless vigor, and studied maps and battle strategies. The once sheltered maiden was transforming into a woman of steel, her spirit tempered by love and a fierce desire to protect what was hers. As winter approached, the land was cloaked in a blanket of snow. The castle, once a lonely sentinel, became a fortress of hope. Anya, with Frost at her side, stood watch over the kingdom, her heart a beacon of faith in the man she loved. In the quiet of her chambers, she would often sit by the hearth, the fire casting dancing shadows on the walls. She would trace the outline of Kale's face in the flames, imagining his return, the sound of his laughter, the feel of his arms around her. And so, she waited. With every howling wind, she listened for the sound of hooves on the frozen ground. With every falling snowflake, she prayed for his safe journey home. For in her heart, she knew that their reunion would be a triumph of love, courage, and unwavering faith. Winter turned to spring, bringing with it a renewed hope. Anya's patience was tested, but her spirit remained unbroken. Then a rider arrived, bearing news that sent a chill down her spine. The rebellion was faltering. Kale's forces were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. A sense of dread washed over her, a cold fear that gnawed at her heart. Determined not to be a helpless spectator, Anya gathered her remaining forces. With Frost at her side, she rode out into the treacherous wilderness, her destination, the heart of the rebellion. The journey was arduous, the weather unforgiving, but Anya pressed on, her heart fueled by love and a fierce determination to aid Kale. Upon reaching the rebel camp, she found a scene of despair. Morale was low, hope dwindling. Kale, though physically unharmed, was a shadow of his former self. Anya's arrival was a beacon of hope. With a renewed vigor, she inspired the troops, sharing strategies and instilling a belief in victory. Under her guidance, the rebel army began to regroup. Anya, with her keen mind and unwavering spirit, became a strategic asset. Her knowledge of the kingdom's geography and her understanding of the enemy's tactics proved invaluable. However, amidst the growing hope, a sinister plot was unfolding. A traitor lurked within their ranks, a viper disguised as a loyal soldier. This person, driven by greed and ambition, was in league with the king. Their plan was to strike a decisive blow, eliminating both Kale and Anya. The trap was sprung during a critical battle. The enemy, with the traitor's insider knowledge, launched a surprise attack. The rebels were caught off guard, their lines crumbling under the relentless onslaught. In the chaos, Anya and Kale fought side by side, their love and loyalty a shield against despair. As the battle raged, Anya realized the traitor's identity. With a surge of adrenaline, she confronted the betrayer, their swords clashing in a deadly duel. The traitor was skilled, but Anya was fueled by a righteous anger. In a swift, decisive move, she disarmed the traitor, their lifeblood spilling onto the snow. The revelation of the treachery boosted the rebels' morale. With renewed vigor, they fought back, turning the tide of the battle. In the end, the enemy was defeated, their forces scattered. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the battlefield, Kale found Anya. Their eyes met, a silent communication passing between them. In that moment, surrounded by the remnants of war, their love deepened, a testament to their resilience and unwavering faith in each other. With the kingdom freed from the tyrant's rule, Kale and Anya returned home as heroes. Their love story, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness, inspired generations to come. And as they stood on the castle ramparts, watching the sunrise paint the sky in hues of gold and pink, they knew that their greatest adventure was yet to come. Years passed, and the castle, once a solitary fortress, became a bustling heart of the kingdom. Anya and Kale ruled wisely and justly, their reign marked by peace and prosperity. Frost, the once frightened cub, had grown into a majestic wolf, a loyal guardian of their family. They had 2 children, a spirited daughter named Alara, with Anya's courage and intelligence, and a brave son, Kalen, who inherited Kale's strength and strategic mind. Their laughter filled the castle, a constant reminder of the love that had blossomed amidst the storms of their lives. In the quiet evenings, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Anya and Kale would often sit on the castle ramparts, hand in hand. They would watch as the sky transformed into a canvas of colors, and as the first stars emerged, they would share stories of their adventures, their voices filled with the warmth of shared memories. In these moments, as they gazed into each other's eyes, they would find a love as enduring as the mountains, as deep as the ocean, and as infinite as the starry sky. Their journey had been fraught with challenges, but it was through these trials that their love had been forged, a testament to the enduring power of human spirit. And so, their story continued, a living tapestry woven with the threads of love, courage, and resilience. It was a tale of a knight, wolf, and a maiden destined to be together, their love a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness.